What's good, everybody? It's John. Come back at you on another video. So this video is going to be an extremely powerful video because this video is going to be about thoughts, and more importantly, your thoughts, right? The title of this video is that your thoughts matter more than you realize. Because I'm hoping that by the end of this video, you can begin to see the correlation with the thoughts that you think and how it leads to the emotions that you feel and ultimately the decisions or lack thereof that you ultimately end up making, right? Because all of this has a chain reaction from your thoughts to the actions that you take, right? Some of you may think or may, already know like that there's some sort of correlation, right? But you may not have been fully aware to the degree that it has. And I'm hoping that this video can showcase this to you so that it can serve as an eye-opener so that you can begin reflecting on your own life to then see if there's any changes that you can make to then better yourself and ultimately have a better experience here on earth. So once again, the title of this video is that your thoughts matter, more than you realize. Now let me use an example. Let's just say that you are in school and the teacher asks you to write a 10-page paper. For most people, this will be seen as a very difficult assignment, a tough task. And in most cases, a lot of people will begin to worry. With them worrying, right, oftentimes when you worry, you feel anxious. Now, before I get any further, let me break this down even further. If you're given the assignment to write a 10-page paper, a lot of people begin to worry. What is worrying? Worrying, of course, you begin to feel anxious, right? You begin to feel concerned. Worrying, it is effectively using your essentially negative imagination. Worrying is using the imagination that you have, the gift that you've been given, right? Using that to create scenarios in your head of events in the future, events that haven't happened yet, or creating events in your mind of like what the future has in store or could possibly have in store for events that won't serve you, for events that are not desirable, for events that you don't like or events that you don't want to experience. So that is effectively negative imagination. Why? Because you are assigned the 10-page paper and you're worried, you're concerned that this is too hard, that is not possible to be done, that it can't be done, right? It's taking up all of your mental capacity. And because of that, right, you now get anxious. You get worried, you get anxious, you start feeling as though like this is too hard, this is too much of a challenge, this is not possible, this is too large of an assignment to get done. And because you're feeling anxious, you now begin procrastinating. Why? Because procrastination is essentially the effect of anxiety, right? It's like your body doesn't know how, like you're worried, you're concerned, your body doesn't really know how to like handle this. And so procrastination is almost like a paralysis. You're essentially freezing up because you don't know where to start, where to begin, right? You're seeing how the thoughts that you're thinking is ultimately leading to the emotion that you feel, which is ultimately leading towards the actions that you take or lack thereof. In this case, procrastination. You are effectively is almost inaction because you are so worried or concerned about things not working out. It's no different than you having a major exam, like a finals exam or a midterm or whatever it is, right? When people hear exams, usually it's important as far as the grading, right? Usually the exams are weighed heavily for classes. And so it is important. And so because it's important, it's high stakes. And for a lot of people, because it's high stakes, they get worried and they get concerned. And it ends up being sort of like a looming dark cloud over them of something they need to prepare for, of something that they may not feel ready for because they don't know what to expect from that exam. And it leads to a lot of people procrastinating, doing nothing, And then the very last day of the night before, that's when they try to study because they don't have any more time and they have to just jump into it, right? That is your thoughts affecting everything else in your life. Now, what you need to realize is when you're worrying, when you're anxious, you're effectively creating, it's like using your imagination negatively, right? Of course, the opposite can happen, right? If you were to be assigned the paper, the 10-page paper, but let's just say writing 10-page papers are easy to you because you've done it so many times, right? If you felt as though it were an easy assignment, right? You'd be happy, you'd be excited, you'd be smiling because you believe that it's easy. And so because you feel that way, you have no issue tackling the assignment, tackling the paper, right? You're going to take action immediately. You're going to be brainstorming ideas. You're realizing that as you brainstorm one idea, that it leads to the next idea and the next idea and the next idea. And then before you know it, you've created essentially a rough draft of all the things you're going to talk about to write the paper. Or if you have to take an exam, right, and the teacher says that there's going to be an exam, but you love the subject and you're comfortable with the subject and you enjoy everything that you learn and that subject is really fun, then you preparing for the exam is you just learning more about the subject, getting practice questions, practice assignments done. And for you, it's just a pleasure. It's just so much fun because you're doing more of it, right? It's like your thoughts matter more than you realize because your thoughts are what shapes your reality, right? There's a saying, whether you can or you can't, whether you can or you can't, right? Whether you believe that you can or believe that you can't, either way, you're both right, because whichever one you decide is what ultimately shapes your reality. If you believe that you cannot do something, you are not going to try. And even if you try, you are not going to put in your best foot forward, or you're not going to put in effort because you believe that it's not going to work itself out. And so why even bother? Why even try, right? You might as well just not even do it. You might as well not even waste your time. But if you believe that you can do something, if you believe that you are capable of succeeding and winning, then you are going to pursue that thing and be consistent and show up each and every day nonstop until that happens, right? So you begin to realize that life is a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it has been this entire time. The things that you believe you can do, you will in fact be able to do, and the things that you believe you can't do, you won't. It just won't happen, right? This is when I say your thoughts matter more than you realize. This is what I mean, right? If you have, think about this, guys. If you have access to an imagination, which you do, of course, you have access to an imagination. You can create things in your mind. It makes a lot more sense for you to use your imagination to create events and scenarios that will work out, or events and scenarios that you want to experience, or the things that you want to have happen, than for you to use it negatively, than for you to use it for the opposite, right? It just makes a lot more sense if you have the creative gift to create anything in your mind with your imagination, right? It would best serve you. It would make more sense to create scenarios in your mind that would best serve you than to create scenarios in your mind that do the opposite, right? And that is ultimately what I'm trying to get at with this, right? So if we use the 10-page paper as an example, right? The 10-page paper, it is what it is. Like, that is what's being asked. But most people will see that as a bad thing. Most people will see that as a very difficult assignment, they'll see that as a Mount Everest, something that is extremely impossible to accomplish or get done. And so because they see it that way, they begin to worry and feel anxious, and it leads to them procrastinating, which is not only making the assignment seem bigger than it is, but it's like the thought of them feeling as though it's already impossible is what's preventing them from getting started. And think about it, it's like all that time, like say for example, this was a 10-page paper that was procrastinated for many weeks. It's like you could have used all of that time throughout those weeks to tackle that paper, right? You could have, in that amount of time that passed, it's based like the person being anxious and worried, they wasted the present moment and the present time because they just felt unprepared. They just felt that they weren't ready. They just felt that they couldn't do the assignment. And all that time was effectively wasted when, had the person believed that they were capable of doing it, all of that time could have effectively been used to get that thing done. Right? So your thoughts matter more than you realize, because your thoughts ultimately shape your reality, and you use your thoughts and your imagination to essentially, it also shapes your future because you're using that to create your future, right? You want to use your imagination and your thoughts to create events and experiences that you want to experience, events and experiences that are desirable for you, because then you'll be looking forward to these things and you'll be excited, and then you'll be able to put that same energy towards pushing that forward, right? But if you use your imagination to create scenarios that you don't want to experience, scenarios that you don't want to happen, then you're experiencing all this negative emotion. You're worried, you're anxious, and you procrastinate. You're effectively, it's almost like a paralysis that you don't want to do anything, and that's energy and time that's wasted that could have been used towards something productive. That all that time and energy that could have been used towards building the life that you want to live or create, right? This is exactly what I mean. So what's always going to be the most important are your thoughts, right? You want to focus on your thoughts. You want to focus on your thinking. You want to be thinking thoughts that work in your favor. You want to be thinking thoughts of events or circumstances that you feel are desirable, that you want to experience, because that is what's going to propel you forward, right? If an assignment is to get a 10-page paper done, and you know somehow, some way the paper has to get done, it would much better serve you to believe that you are capable of getting that done, so that you can put all of the weeks of time that you have and the energy towards completing it, rather than putting all that time and energy towards just worrying and then not making any progress, right? If I use myself as an example, with every video I end off, thanking you guys for watching the video, asking you to subscribe, and then informing you guys that we're on the road to 1 million subscribers. If I believe that it was impossible to reach 1 million subscribers, I wouldn't even try, right? I wouldn't even be doing these videos, because I would just believe it's a waste of time. But I, one, believe it's possible. I know it's possible because I've already seen many other people do it, right? Like, there's people with million subscribers, like, that exists, that's a thing. And two, I know that as long as I continue creating videos that deliver exceptional content and keep delivering gems to people as far as like value, I know that people are smart enough to identify and realize the value and the information that I'm delivering, and people appreciate that, and because of that will eventually subscribe, because the value that I'm providing them is what's going to benefit them and improve the quality of their lives and make them a better person and deliver them happiness, right? So I know that there are going to be people who are going to appreciate my content, and I can sit here and be anxious and worried and think that reaching 1 million subscribers will never happen, but I know it's possible. So why am I going to waste my time worrying? And then the other factor, right, it could be that I could spend all this time just worrying about, like, well, what if no one likes my content? What if no one watches my videos? What if no one cares? What if the quality of my videos seem a little bad? Right? Some people will think those are legitimate worries and legitimate concerns, but what they also don't realize is that I've seen videos from all different kinds of videos at all different types of quality. Like, I've seen videos from people who, like, I'm speaking into an actual camera with an actual microphone attached. I've seen people do videos from their cell phones, and these are people who don't even have iPhones, who might be using older phones with lesser quality cameras, lesser quality microphones, right? These are people who are not interested in the presentation of the video. They're just interested in delivering a message. And there's plenty of viewers that will flock to their content and support their videos because of the value that that person's delivering. That if you're here sharing a genuine message, an authentic message, something that resonates with people, that people will care less about the theatrics of it and more about your message and people, and that's more than enough for people, right? That's more than enough for people to appreciate and support. Trust me, I've seen videos that have the quality of it you would think is filmed on like a Nokia phone or something, like something very raw, and yet those videos are still successful because of the person that's delivering the message and how it resonates with other people. So your thoughts matter more than you realize, because your thoughts are what has created your entire life. From birth until now, everything was shaped because of your thoughts. So if you want to begin creating your life and creating the life the way you want it to be and how you want to live, right? If you want to live life on your own terms and create the life that you want to live, you need to be careful of the thoughts that you think. You want to begin thinking positive thoughts and thinking about thoughts and events that are going to serve you. And think about things in the positive, even if something as big as a 10-page paper or an exam comes your way, right? Think of it as a very achievable target or goal. Look forward to that thing. Get excited, because you can either put that energy towards that thing and succeed and do well, or you can put that energy towards worrying and being anxious and spending all that time thinking about a scenario that may not ever happen. We've all experienced events where we were so worried and anxious about the worst thing that can happen, and we essentially live our lives experiencing our lives as if that bad thing were to happen. Like if everything went wrong, and we live our life feeling bad as if everything went wrong, and then eventually that event would unfold and then nothing ever went wrong, and then the event actually went as we wanted it to, but yet we suffered all that time because we were living life as if that bad event happened when nothing bad ever happened, right? We do that to ourselves because of the thoughts that we think when we've never needed to do that, right? A lot of times when we have an idea of a business we want to start or a project we want to tackle or something we want to accomplish, the first thought that goes through a lot of people's minds is, well, what if it doesn't work out? If you think that and believe that, then you're just going to be thinking about all the reasons why it won't work out. And if your mind is fixated on why it won't work out, then you're not going to put your best foot forward because you already believe that it's not going to work out. And so you already have all this negative emotion, you have all this anxiety, all this worry. So you're just going to procrastinate. And because you're procrastinating and not doing anything, then it's not going to work out because you're not putting any effort towards that thing. But if you believe that something will work out, then you're going to show up each and every day. You're going to put your best foot in one foot in front of the other, and you are going to put your best effort forward, and you are going to make that thing happen. You're going to make that thing work out, right? Because you are going to keep going until it does work out, because it's your belief that creates the fact and not the other way around. It's not the fact that creates the belief. It's the belief that ends up creating the fact. If you believe you can do something, then you will make it happen. If you believe that you can't do something, then it won't happen. And that's how it works. That's how it works with everything in life. So this is why when I say your thoughts matter more than you realize, this is what I mean, because that is factually true. You're seeing how your thoughts is what leads to the emotions that you feel, and that's what leads to the action or the inaction that you end up taking. And that's for both positive and negative. For a lot of people, it's usually the negative. They usually think the worst case scenario, the bad thing that can happen, right? And so because of that, they feel negative emotion, and then it leads to inaction. But if you're someone that believes you are capable, that you can do it, that you are good enough, that you are exceptional at what you do, that you are the best, and it is something that you want to do or something you want to experience, you'll think about it in like the best case scenario, because we're always creating future events in our mind. We're always planning out we're always thinking about how we want events to unfold, how we want things to be for us. And so it just makes most sense for us to use our creative gift, our imagination, to create the events that we want to experience, the events that are desirable, right? Because then we'll be smiling, we'll be happy, we'll be looking forward to life, right? And then we'll be creating the life that we want to live. And as we begin creating that in our mind, the good that we want to see, right? Then we'll be getting excited. We'll be working towards that. There won't be any worry or doubt or anxiety or anything, because in your mind you've created what you want to happen, and you're working towards what you want to happen. So you're effectively creating what you want to happen. And that's better than creating what you don't want to happen, right? That's better than using your imagination negatively. That's what worrying is. It's just negative imagination, right? Use your imagination positively. You're free to choose how you want to use your imagination. Use it positively, then you're using it to create what you want to experience. And then you'll be excited because you're thinking about the future that you want to have and you want to experience. And then you're vibrating positive emotion. So with that positive emotion, you're taking action towards that. So when you're procrastinating, if procrastination ever happens, just remember that procrastination is the effect. The cause is the actual worrying, is the actual thoughts that you're thinking. So if you want to change that, you need to change the thoughts that you're thinking. Rather than thinking, what if it doesn't work out? If you change that thought process and eliminate the thought process of what if it doesn't work out, and you start thinking, wow, I wonder how amazing this is going to be when it does work out, right? Like if you were to use that thought process as an example, then your procrastination is going to be gone, because then you're like, wow, this is going to be amazing when it does work out. So let me begin doing the things now and taking action right now so that it works out. And then when it works out, right, obviously things will be great, because then you've already envisioned your life when that thing does work out. So I know I've given you a lot, but I'm hoping right now, as the end of this video, I'm hoping that you now see a correlation between the thoughts that you think and ultimately thoughts that you think, how it leads to the emotion that you feel, and the emotion that you're feeling, how it leads to the action or the inaction that you're taking. So if it ever leads to a point where you're experiencing procrastination, or it's delivering inaction, or you're feeling negative emotion, then it's because of the thought that created everything. So if you want to change that entire chain, you need to change the thought, so then the actions, so that the emotion and the actions change. So it always begins with thoughts. It always stems from the thoughts. So your life, where it's at right now, you've created it. All is a combination of all the thoughts that you've thought of back then has brought you to the position that you're in now. Now you're in the best place right now, because at this point forward, you can now think the correct thoughts and the appropriate thoughts to get you closer to where it is that you want to go. And that right there is a blessing in and of itself. So that wraps up the video. Enjoy the video. Do leave a like and subscribe as we're on the road to a million subscriber, guys. So once again, it's Joel, and I'm out. I'll see you guys for the next video.